Heather, I'm so excited you're here today. We are going to dive into some hot topics in independent schools. And the one that was on my mind, and I think yours as well, is around admissions, right? So everyone's thinking admissions, enrollment, and a lot of them are thinking in admissions event planning. They're thinking about like their whole customer experience piece. I'm curious, like, what are you seeing now? And what are you seeing now in independent schools? And what would you like to tell schools around that?
Yeah, I think this is such a great question, especially right now. At the time we're talking, we're really seeing schools starting to respond to year over year dips in their inquiry and application numbers by adding a lot of last minute admissions events, open houses, info nights, things like that. And while that's one item on our checklist of things we can do in our strategy, I think one of the things that we're not doing well in independent schools yet is adopting to the shifting behavioral changes of the generations of parents that are coming through our doors now. We've been catering more to the baby boomers and the Gen Xers who really aligned with the way we positioned ourselves as independent schools with structure and tradition and prestige. And the millennials have cracked some holes in that. And I'm telling you, the Gen Z parents are nipping at our heels. They are coming. They're starting to have kids. They're going to be in kindergarten very soon if they're not already. And this idea of concierge admissions, I bring it up on every partner call that I have. And of course, everyone groans, including me. But the time has come that we need to take this seriously because it really should inform a shift in how you run an admissions event, if you even run one at all. I'm just going to say that.
Ooh, I love this.
Yeah, I think schools need to think about what do parents want? And concierge admissions is really about a customizable approach. For me, I am that target demographic. I am a mom of two, working mom, running my household, I'm juggling all the things. And so concierge admissions is about you being able to create the pathway that works for you. It's taking flexibility to a whole nother level. And we need to rethink not only how we're marketing the events, but how we're actually running them too. So I'm going to start with the marketing part just for a quick second, because I talk about this almost every day with our partners. Of course, we're running an event. Okay, we've got our ad campaign, we've got our landing page, our registration form, check, check, check. You're doing a flyer, you're doing a postcard, you got banners, you got lawn signs, check, check, check. Great. The part that schools aren't leaning into enough is social media. If they post anything at all, it's here's a little text graphic or maybe a nice just wide shot of the campus with the details. Come join us, click here and register. I'm just going to say it now. That's boring. And now I think your event is going to be boring. And it probably is. I think people need to tell more stories about what you're going to get at the event, why you should come. And I am a big proponent. Anyone who knows me knows that I promote amplifying your student voices. If there is any way you can get your students to invite people to come to your event, that I think is a home run. I'll tell you a quick example. We did this at my last school. A colleague of mine, Melissa Weber, phenomenal digital marketing strategist at the Peck School, was informed or got this idea from the TikTok trend that was happening in real estate where realtors were showing off properties with these speed tours. And like apparently everyone was watching these. I'm not on TikTok, but she brought this idea and she said, hey, what if we did that for our open house? And we grabbed, a super charismatic, gregarious, fifth grade student who showed us their favorite parts of campus, of course, the dining hall, the playground, the makerspace lab, and said, I can't show you the rest. There's so much more. Come on down next Saturday and check it out for yourself. The school had record highest attendance at an open house in the school's history. So there's definitely ways that you can level up your marketing of the event. Now let's talk about when you get there, because I think that the days of the all school cattle call Saturday 1 p.m. open house, no children allowed a lot of times, that has to end because that does not fit with hopefully how you're running your school, because that sends a pretty clear vibe like kids are not welcome here. This is a school, folks. Let's design our events in a way that shows off your school. I would personally love to see the panel discussion presentation followed by a tour just completely retired. Schools run these fantastic family fun days, fall fests, all sorts of great community building events in the fall. Why not open that up to the community and let people see your school organically and authentically the way that it really is? Sure, you can have a booth saying tours available like while you're there. duh, of course we should do that. But this is a way for them to naturally meet members of your community, the parents, the students, the teachers. Everybody's there. Your campus is beautifully decorated. There's pumpkins and hay everywhere. Everyone's in a great mood. Hopefully you get a great day. I just think I don't think I know because I am this parent. I don't want to drag my 8-year-old who's going to wiggle in a seat in an auditorium for 45 minutes while we listen to your alumni panel. That is not family friendly to me. That's not the kind of vibe of a school that I don't think most parents are looking for today. And the behavioral data about what millennial parents and these Gen Z parents coming up next tells us that's not what they're looking for. So you need to align not only your marketing to the family's values, but your events as well. And I think that's the second piece that we haven't quite transitioned into yet.
That's so fascinating. I was just working with a school, I think 2 weeks ago, and it was a kindergarten and preschool open house, and there were no kids allowed on a Saturday. I'm like, so what are the barriers that a busy parent has to go through to even get there, right? And then what's the incentive to even go? And I love
Right.
what you said about the student tour and how to engage people in even coming, and then what that experience is once they get there. And I always say we can't change consumer behavior. We cannot change it. So we have to change to serve the consumers and to be able to adapt. Otherwise, we're not going to reach them.
I
I think
know
that's
this is a
really
thing
important.
that independent schools don't do well. It's change. You just said it. The other thing, people that know me know I have one or two things I always say. And the other one is if I ever hear that's the way we've always done it again, I'm leaving because that is my least favorite phrase to hear. I've run a couple sessions on how to try to break out of that mindset. And just a little teaser, I think I'm going to infuse a little bit of it into, I know that's not what I'm billed to talk about at the conference, but I have a feeling it's going to creep its way in there. Because the other thing, let's put open houses and multi-family events over here for a second. There are some schools out there that are saying we're not doing these open houses anymore. It's private tours only. And kudos to them for doing that. That is obviously the way you can really get one-on-one with a family. I do think there's still some room to level up there. I think we go through our script of things we want to show on the tour, and we don't really personalize the tour to the things that are of interest to that family based on their demographics, what their child's interested in. There's not a lot of flexibility in the student visit and the tour experience, I don't think. But even before that, not a lot of schools are doing digital appointment scheduling yet, which still shocks me because it's something I introduced at my previous school several years ago and has really changed the game because again, I'm a busy mom of two who works full time. I work remote from home, so I'm working and I'm on the computer all hours of the day and night. And I might decide I'm going to look up, let's just say a summer camp, because I'm honestly already thinking about it. I'm stressed. I'm always behind the 8 ball on that. I'm sitting on the couch in my pajamas at 10 p.m. scrolling around. I'm interested in learning more about your school right now. I call those hot leads. Do you know how fast hot leads get cold? Really, really fast. So not only do they want to just schedule, I want to schedule my own appointment. I want to see your calendar of availability and I want to go, yep, next Tuesday at 8 a.m. I can go into work late. Bing, boom. I now know I have moved the ball forward. I am not a bad mom. I've checked that off my list. We have an appointment scheduled. Yay, I did that all in one night at 10 o'clock p.m. This, I have to email you, or I have to fill out a form, or I have to wait for you to call me back. And now we're going to go back and forth about the availability. No, no, no. You don't have to do that to go to your eye doctor, your dentist, your plastic surgeon, whoever you're going to. You can make appointments for the DMV online to get your COVID shot, whatever you need. That's the world we live in, but schools have resisted it, and they resist it at their own peril at this point.
I would completely agree. This is something you and I have in common. I'm always like, how many barriers are you putting in place for me to even get to the tour? And then I would say never end up on someone's to-do list. If you end up on my to-do list, let me just say, if I have to remember to email back so and so to
Yep,
schedule, it's not happening, folks.
it's
It's not
over.
happening. And that's what you're saying there, right? Like make it
Yeah.
easy to schedule the tour so that people actually do it and actually come and they fit it in their schedules because you have to work with the consumer's behavior instead of working against it.
I think it shows up also in the how do we communicate our mission and identity to families? Because again, this idea of concierge admissions to me means parents want what they want, when they want it, how they want it, and for the price they want it. That's the definition I've come up with. So schools have gotten away with painting themselves in broad strokes early in the funnel process, and that isn't going to work anymore. Today's families want you to come to them. Like I love how you said that if I'm on your to-do list, forget it. I have always thought about it in like the hand holding. It was okay before for you to say this is who we are as a school and this is what we stand for and let the parents figure out if that aligns with their values or not. But now it's up to the school to make sure it is crystal clear how we as the institution align with your values. And that should then inform more personalized and segmented experiences. You know, if you're a school who says we still need to have events, we still need to have events. Okay, could you consider reframing how you think about the events? You know, the divisional events is one example of what we have been able to kind of wrap our mind around. But could you segment your populations in other ways? Maybe generational personas that way you can really tailor the experience and the topics you're talking about to what you know matters to those folks. Or, you know, I work with a lot of learning different schools. Could you segment small, intimate, and that's how you market it. This is an intimate event. This is not hundreds of people, limited seats, standing room only. No, this is an intimate event where we're going to talk about how we are the best school for kids with dyslexia in your city. And it's you and three other families because it's very personal, right? As a millennial, I want you to talk to me about how your school is going to honestly be the silver bullet for my kid. I do have a kid who has a learning difference. My 11-year-old son Bradley's on the autism spectrum. So this is very personal. I get it. And this is how all parents view the school search for their kids, not just a kiddo that needs accommodations in a different school environment. But I want you to tell me how your school, your mission, your differentiators, your value proposition, how is that going to help my individual child? I don't care about their child or their child. I only care about my child. And I'm only going to be able to have that conversation with you either in a one-on-one or a very intimate setting. So why should I bother coming for 2 hours on a Saturday when I'm not going to walk away knowing any more than I knew when I walked in the door?
No, that's well said. I would completely agree. That's why I think those personalized tours or personalized like anything is going to go a long way toward people making being able to apply what your school offers to their child in their situation, right? I too have a 10 and 13-year-old and I want to know, okay, so how does this school align with my values, number one? And how is this school going to benefit my specific children? Because my children are different than that child over there and that child over there. So I think that is a really important thing for people to know. Any last thoughts you'd like to leave school leaders with?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think they have to get comfortable with change. I think they have to get comfortable with change and they have to, one other, it's a little unrelated to this, but I've become a little bit more of an advocate for admissions and marketing professionals over the last year since I've joined the incredible team at Truth Tree, because what I experienced in my own life, I didn't realize was as widespread as it is. And now that I've met hundreds of marketing and admissions directors at schools across the country and even across the world. Marketing directors, in particular, I will say, are continually undervalued and treated as not experts. And I'm done with it. And I pep talk our partners to help advocate for the things that they know are right, their opinions to help get their voices heard at their schools, because there's a difference between communications and marketing. And our schools have not differentiated well and maybe not hired well for that distinction. But I really just want to just advocate and really pump up our incredible admissions and marketing folks out there that are burning the candle at both ends, are giving their blood, sweat, and tears to their schools, oftentimes in a very invisible behind the scenes way. Admissions is a little more, publicly facing, but us marketing folks, what I did for almost 15 years, it's very visible when we make a mistake. But what we do, if it goes well, is very invisible. And I would love to see marketing directors appreciated, treated as experts more, and resourced appropriately so that our schools can do all of this. All the things we just talked about require resources and bandwidth, and they require proper prioritization. I think schools have had this imbalance of the internal communications tasks that are often very visible and very urgent. I mean, the head lice email has to go out today. I know that. But I'm also over here trying to analyze Google Analytics data so that I can make sure that our enrollment marketing strategy is working on November 11th. How am I going to have time for that? Takes time. That takes brain power, mental energy, analysis. That's really important work, and we can't overlook it anymore.
I love that. That's so important. I mean, I often think about this with all the studies that they've said about, like, or if you look at job postings for marketing directors, and it's like this long list, a
Who
super
would want to
long
do
list,
all
and
that?
you need to be experts in all of it. I'm like, who is this person that is expert in all of this? No, you need to, as you said, resource people to either be able to, like, get clear on their job description and be able to prioritize, and then to delete and delegate and, like, outsource something, right? You can't do it all.
Or
And
say this is still important, but we're going to schedule that for next fall because we can't do everything all at the same time. I was in a webinar once where they were talking about project management and getting things done, something, I have the perpetual to-do list like everyone. And I love this analogy and I tell it to everyone, and then I swear I'll get off my TED Talk. The analogy was football, so I apologize if you're not a sports person and you don't get the analogy, but the analogy was about if you have 8 balls on the 1 yard line and you're trying to move all 8 balls across the field to get a touchdown, it's going to take forever. What if you moved 1 or 2 balls at a time and then went back and moved 2 more? We'd actually get more. And honestly, that is another thing that I think has been so surprising to me coming to Truth Tree. I feel so productive. Every day I'm like, wow, I got a lot done today. Like that would have taken me 2 weeks at school. So it's been such a pleasure to like focus full time on marketing and be able to support, like I said, our incredible colleagues out there on the ground still doing it. So it's been a joy. This has been wonderful chatting with you. I'm even more psyched for the conference now. And please come to our next TED Talk.
absolutely. Thank you, Heather, for this TED Talk. I'm so grateful you're here. And thank you to Truth Tree for not only hiring Heather, because she's amazing, and for being a part of our conference. Thanks again, Heather.
Thanks, Aubrey.